All right, everybody. So welcome. We're live. We forgot. I really apologize. My countdown is really exciting time of the year. Okay, that was exciting. If anyone can hear me, if we are live, I apologize for the crazy countdown and some connection issues that are happening right now. My name is Jesse. I am here with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, and we are the digital education partner of your Toronto Zoo. We are diving in with our first full week of classes. It has been a thrilling start to the school year, and we have over 30 broadcasts alone. And so the coolest scientists and explorers on planet Earth with classes just like you. We had over 1,000 kids register for today's program from 7 U.S. states, 5 provinces. It has been an incredible start to the year, and a big thank you to all of you teachers for joining us again or joining us for the first time as we continue to showcase and celebrate the most amazing scientists, explorers, and organizations around the world. If you are keen as well, we have done over 30 broadcasts with the Toronto Zoo in our history, and all of them live on our YouTube channels. If you want to check out everything from Komodo dragons to kangaroos, polar bears, and more, head to that YouTube channel. There is so much to discover there. Now, today I'm really excited because we are diving back in with one of my very favorite animals personally, and the animal that provided the single best live animal interaction in the history of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants last year, and that is the red pandas. I'm so excited to turn it over to educators extraordinaire Mary Ellen and Morgan. Before I do, a housekeeping note with my crazy connection things that are happening this morning. We are going to have a Kahoot today, so between our talk and our Q&A, we are going to have a 4-question fun little interactive quiz. And if you want to play along, you can open this up in a separate tab now. In about 20-25 minutes, we are going to play with this game pin below. So please do head to kahoot.it, put in that game pin. I'll share that before we go live with it again, of course, as well. But without further ado, and now just with them, so no more connection things for a while. Mary Ellen and Morgan, thank you so much, and so nice to see you both again. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hi.
It's good to be back.
It's great to be back. We love these videos so much. And we're so excited to kick off another amazing school year with such an incredible animal ambassador with us today. So we'll bring out our animal friend in just a moment. But quickly here, Morgan and I just want to say hello. And then also, Jesse, if you want to bring up our land acknowledgement for us, and we will get started with our program. So before we start here, we would just like to acknowledge that the land that we are on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississauga of the Credit and the Williams Treaty, signed with multiple Mississauga and Chippewa bands. Thank you so much, Jesse. All right, so we are here today to learn all about our red panda. So if you don't know, I think Jesse mentioned it actually in our beginning intro there, that it is International Red Panda Day coming up this weekend. And we have these sort of international awareness days or celebration days for so many incredible species around the globe to help promote conservation for them, to get people really excited and engaged with these animals, learning all about them and genuinely caring about them. That's the way that we can help them the best. If we care about them and we see them, we want to save them, which is also our catchphrase this year here at the zoo for some of our endangered species around. So with us here today, we have our red pandas, and we are going to learn all about what makes them so amazing. And then I'm going to pass the camera off to Morgan for a little bit as well. And she's going to tell us about some amazing studies that we do. So if we have anyone who's interested in doing research on animals in the future, this is a great way for you to learn a little bit more about them, how these processes work. And if you want to be a scientist someday, we can show you all of the amazing things that you get to do as well. Now, Jesse mentioned there's going to be a Kahoot today, but there's also going to be a riddle for us. So I've got a riddle printed off here, and we're going to read it together. And at some point in our broadcast, Morgan and I are going to give the answer to our riddle. So if you think you know it, spam the comments. Jesse loves when that happens, right, Jesse?
Absolutely. It's my favorite thing ever. Nothing
It's
beats
the best
comments.
time. It's perfect. So if you think you hear it, You can spam Jesse and he'll let us know at any point who gets it first in the comments. And our answer for it, I'll give you a hint, it's not going to be one singular answer or one animal. So it won't be red panda as the answer, for example. It's a term that we use to describe many animals who all kind of have this same adaptation or characteristic or trait about them. And it's related to today's topic. So today our riddle is, having a baby can be a lot of work, but some animals have this little perk. They pause and wait if life is unsteady. This way they can ensure they are healthy and ready. So I'll put it up here on the screen for a second. Let me get it centered. And if anyone wants to take a screenshot of it really quickly, they can. And so try and keep your eyes and ears peeled today and see if we come across any answers that you might think relate to that. All right, now I know the star of our show is in front of us here, so I'm going to take a second to turn our camera around for us. Takes me just a moment to do it on our phone. There we go. And I would like to introduce everyone to our red panda with us here today. So this is Paprika. She's one of 2 red pandas that we have here at the Toronto Zoo. So we have Paprika and we also have a male named Suva. They're both 6 years old. They're actually born very similar, June and July of 2017. So I don't know if we have anyone in our audience today who has birthday twins with them, but we might have some 6-year-olds watching with us here today, depending on what grade we're in. But they are an amazing species. Now, Jesse also mentioned that we have done a ton of videos together here, and we've learned all sorts of amazing adaptations that animals have that help them to survive and showcase how they like to live. So, Jesse, we're going to do, it's the start of the school year. I want to see if we remember things from last year's schooling, last year's programs, and we're going to ask some questions to our audience here to get them started.
Ooh, I love question period.
We love question time. So if you think you know the answer, you can add it to the chats there, and Jesse will let us know who gets it right. Or if there's any classes who are live who also want to try their hand at it, feel free, and we can try and come to you as well. So an animal like a red panda, they are known as a crepuscular species. Now, does anyone think they remember or know what crepuscular means? I'll give a hint. It has something to do about when they like to be awake.
Ooh, I'm bringing it up on the screen too. So crepuscular. If anyone wants to chime in the StreamYard chat, in the YouTube or Facebook chats, we have such a big audience today from the zoo channels, from the Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants channels. Let's see if we get any answers coming in. All right. Oh, on our private chat, nocturnal. So, okay. From Miss Alfonso's class, they thought maybe waking up during the nighttime.
Yeah, very close to it.
All right. I know YouTube and Facebook are a little delayed, so we're going to give them a second, but we are getting a lot of people talking about how adorable Paprika is, which is a good start.
She is. I accept that as an answer all the time.
It's a very good answer for any question.
She's very cute. We'll do a little body pan over here so you can see her cute tail too.
That's a fantastic tail. That's their best tail we've ever had on Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. Mr. Chris's class. So they say dawn and dusk for crepuscular. Second graders.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. That is perfect. You are 100%. So red pandas are a type of animal who like to be more awake during kind of first thing in the morning and then again later in the evening or afternoon. And they prefer to sleep during the midday and overnight, which honestly sounds like the best way of going about life. Humans have it backwards. We are called diurnal, which means we're primarily awake all day and then asleep all night. I think we could all use a nice 4 or 5 hour nap in the middle of our day, though. That sounds fantastic to me. Now, our next one here, I'm going to give us a hint with a visual clue. Red pandas are also known as an arboreal species. Do we think we remember, or even if you can name another arboreal species? So we're just in Paprika's kind of like back holding area right now. So their actual exhibit is way out there. I'm going to pan up a little bit as well. And, we have a roof on top of this exhibit. Why might we need a roof on an exhibit for a red panda?
All right. We've got arboreal up on the screen. Private chat's already lighting up, which is fantastic. Miss Alfonso's class, first graders say squirrel as another arboreal creature, which is correct. So way to go. Does anyone want to, again, hazard a guess about what arboreal means and explain a little bit about why we might have that roof to the enclosure? Lots of comments coming in. You're setting them up, Mary Ellen. You're throwing softballs. They're knocking them out of the park. They climb. Things that climb up trees with Withrow's class. Our Dylan crew.
Exactly. Oh, that's perfect. So yes, red pandas are expert climbers. So they like to live up in the trees. Now, Paprika's eating breakfast right now with us on the ground. That's because we put her bowl on the ground this morning, but she would be just as happy eating it anywhere up in her trees. And after we're done here with her today, she's going to go outside to the bigger part of her exhibit, and she is going to climb up a tree. And she might even showcase that for us. Oh, no, we're coming back for seconds. Breakfast won over on that one there. But hopefully we'll get to see her climb a little bit later on. And I'll try and zoom in a little bit here. You can see her very fluffy feet, but she's got some nice claws in there as well. And they are expert climbers. So they are able to, oh, we might have some help here trying to convince her to go for a little climb here for us. They are so good at climbing. They do it just like it's very natural for them. They can wrap their paw around, dig their claws in, and they're headed up. Look at that.
Nice.
Incredible. I definitely cannot climb trees. I don't know if we have any climbers here in our group today, but that's something I probably wouldn't be able to do. The balance on them is incredible. And that's due in part to their big fluffy tail as well. That really helps them balance as they're trying to climb. So another thing we noticed about them, and something we talked about in our kind of our bio or our intro for what this program was going to be today, is their coloration. So you can see that they are very red in color. They've got that beautiful kind of crimson or almost fiery color about them. And this is actually to help them camouflage. So where they like to live in the world, they actually have a lot of fir trees with red mosses on them and white lychee. And so they can actually blend in and camouflage in with those colors around them when they're up in the trees. So if you come here to visit them at the zoo, we have a lot of signs outside of their exhibit that say, look up, because oftentimes you'll find them, especially on a nice warm day, they'll be up at the top of their tree, just taking a little snooze, having a nap for the whole afternoon. So even it can be a little bit challenging for us to find them as well. Now, one other thing I'm going to talk about here before I pass it off to Morgan to get a little bit more sciencey for us here is we were talking about, and this is often a question I get in these videos when we feature red pandas, because of their tail, is what are they related to? What other animals are they? And I want to see if we have any guesses in the group right now. So if you have an answer for that, try and type it in right now and see, what do you think a red panda is related to? Are they a bear? Are they a panda? Are they a raccoon? What are they?
Very good question. I was hoping you were going to talk about this. While people are putting in this answer, I'm really glad you talked about the fact that they are hard to find. We had April on Facebook talked about the fact that her and her son have come a bunch of times. It's been really hard to find them. I've had a hard time finding the red pandas at the zoo. So look up, be sure to do that. Is there a time of day that's really good too? While we're waiting for these answers to come in?
Yeah, definitely. So I'd say kind of first thing in the morning, if you're able to come to the zoo right away, when they're still kind of exploring and smelling, you know, what might have else run through their exhibit in the night, and they're kind of like checking things out, that's probably the best time. Or right near the end of the day, if their keepers are calling them down for dinner time as well. If you come in the middle of a day, on a hot day especially, oh, they are going to be up in the trees for sure.
Yep. I like, but Paprika is fulfilling our every whim for being up close and personal with the camera today. This is amazing.
Definitely. So she knows she's the star.
Our answers coming in, we've got pandas, foxes, raccoons. Ooh. So those are our three that have come in from our live classes, which is amazing because they, you know, of course, panda in the name, they kind of look like a fox with the color. They're about the same size and shape as a raccoon. They're sort of an odd mystery animal. Any coming in on YouTube, Facebook before we head to Morgan? Let's see our answers. We've got, you guys are the best audience ever. Thank you for helping us kick off the school year in such style with such enthusiasm. Let's see our answers. We got some good ones so far. Oh, it wants to come up. Related to raccoons, squirrels, foxes, weasels, bears, pandas. We've got another person saying they're so cute, which they are. They are absolutely so cute.
They're so cute. So you actually said one of the answers there. Whoever put weasel in, you are the closest. So good job for that one. So yeah, the first time though I've ever heard foxes. So that's a good one as well. I really like that answer for it. They do kind of look fox-like as well. But yeah, it's really common because they're called red pandas. And so it's kind of a misdirect for it. And now, to be fair, one thing we're going to talk about in science today is that science is always changing. We are constantly learning new parts about our discoveries, and we're finding out new ways and what they all mean together. And there's so many more people researching nowadays, and we're finding out all this new information. So at one point, we thought they were more related to pandas or to bears or to raccoons. And we've learned so much new information over the years that we can actually more classify them in with ferrets, weasels, badgers, otters. So that's kind of more their close relative that they have here. But really, they're just kind of in their own unique category, which is honestly the best part about them and what makes them so special to us as well. All right, I'm going to hand our camera off here to Morgan, and she's going to get a little bit more in depth. She's got some really cool studies to tell you about.
Hello, everyone. So the star of the show will still be Paprika, just a different person holding the camera now. So as we kicked off the conversation, we talked about learning about these species in order to conserve them and help them in the wild. So we're going to talk a little bit about Paprika and the red panda status in the wild. So for red pandas, unfortunately, they are classified as endangered, which means that their numbers are really, really limited in the wild and everywhere that they live. So there's a few reasons for this. They can be endangered mainly because of habitat degradation. So there is unfortunately a lot of human disturbances all over their habitat. Oh, Paprika's following where the food's going. So there's a lot of disturbances all around their habitat as humans kind of... Paprika, sorry about that, everyone. Paprika's deciding to show her agility abilities. So anyways, there's a lot of human disturbances, unfortunately, a lot of deforestation, and as you clearly like to see, she loves to be in the trees. So as humans cut down their forests and build all the other things that humans need, it disturbs the habitat that the pandas live in. A couple other things, you see this beautiful fur that we were admiring before. Well, unfortunately, a lot of red pandas are poached for that fur. So there's something called the fur trade, which means animals are taken from their natural habitats and unfortunately harmed for their beautiful, beautiful fur. So there's a couple of those things. Also climate change. So they have a certain way that they like to live. And as climate changes and the earth warms, they have to move to different areas, which then unfortunately they can be harmed in the process. So with that, we have something here at zoos where we like to try to monitor the amount of pandas that we at least have in human care so we can continue to grow their populations. So this is something called the SSP. She's making me work for it now. Got to follow her everywhere. So this is something called the SSP. This is the species survival plan. We can think of this a little bit like a family tree. So we monitor their genetics and we monitor who is breeding with who in order to really maximize the amount of genes and the amount of babies that red pandas can have while they're in human care at zoos. So again, to touch on the fact that as we learn more about them, it's easier to want to protect them and save them. So that's a really cool part about them being at zoos. We can learn lots of different things about the species while they're in our care. One of the really cool things we can learn about them is their reproduction. So red pandas have stumped humans for years. They've got very, very interesting reproductive systems. Hi. Oh, you're making me run all over the exhibit, Paprika. So their reproductive systems are really, really interesting. Oh, yeah. There we go. So their reproductive systems are really interesting, and they have adapted in order to help them out a little bit to save them, because babies cause a lot of work. When someone is pregnant, it's a lot of work on the body and can be a lot of stress. Now, red pandas have adapted this little perk to help them. This perk is called delayed implantation. I know, big word. So delayed implantation is when two red pandas will mate and there is a fertilized egg. But if the mom isn't quite ready to have that baby and have that pregnancy yet, they can just pause. So they pause all of their processes, they pause the pregnancy, and that fertilized egg will kind of just float in time. Then, when the mom is nice and stable, nice and healthy, she is able to then continue the pregnancy and follow it through. So again, that's called delayed implantation.
Well, I want to note just really quick, Morgan, you said that, and Miss Croston instantly got that was the riddle answer. So way to go, Miss Croston's group. Delayed implantation is our answer. That's the first time that's ever happened where the first answer was correct in our entire history together. So way to go, Miss Croston's group.
Amazing. Wow. Either the class is super smart or our hints are really good. I'm going to go with both. All right. One last thing I want to touch on the reproduction. So as I mentioned, we can study them and then we can publish that research so that other zoos can also learn all of those things. So I'm going to get Jesse to pull up a graph here on the screen. So we were able to do a study on a couple of pregnant red pandas. If the graph pops up for everyone.
It's coming, Morgan. It's coming.
All right.
We
were able to use the fecal samples that the red pandas provide for us every single day, luckily in their houses. And with the help of keepers, we can study those fecal samples. And within those fecal samples are hormones. So this can tell us a lot of information about a pregnant or not pregnant red panda. So everyone looking at those graphs there, the non-pregnant panda is at the top and the pregnant panda is at the bottom. Does anyone see where the difference is in those two graphs?
I mean, Morgan, this is a crew that got delayed implantation instantly and nailed all your questions. So I think they're going to be master graph readers today. Even if you don't know what PGFM means, you can see a big spike in that pregnant thing on the bottom.
Exactly. You got it, Jesse. So that big spike, PGFM, it doesn't really matter what it is to the video. It's a hormone that we studied. So basically, that hormone peaked way up in that graph right when Paprika had her baby. So that told us a lot about that hormone. Now, while it didn't really increase throughout her pregnancy, we learned that that spike once she had her baby was really important. And now we can study that hormone to figure out how it plays into pregnancy. So even though science isn't always perfect, it would have been great to see some differences throughout the pregnancy. At least it told us something, and it now opens up the doors to learn so much more about them. All right. I'm going to pass the camera over back to Mary Ellen now.
There we go. We are back. I just really wanted to quickly, before we jump into our Kahoot and our Q&A, talk about the kind of amazing ability that we have to get this information from our red pandas and other animals here at the zoo, and really looking at the teamwork that goes into doing it. So Jesse, if you don't mind pulling up our video, I think we've actually shown this one before. It is an ultrasound video, I believe, of actually Paprika getting ultrasound. And it's a really cool example showing the amount of effort and work that goes into caring for these animals each and every day. So keepers are here, you know, they are the ones feeding and cleaning up for our animals. They're creating enrichment. They are helping with training. So what you see there is Paprika is putting her paws up and it's kind of standing up straight on a like T-bar or a piece of wood there. She's getting a reward for being there with them right now, and they're able to ultrasound her. And this is just an incredible feat of science and teamwork by everyone here at the zoo and others all around the world who are able to do this as well. And you can actually see there's a little arrow there that pointed. That is the little embryo in the ultrasound. And this just gives us a ability to make sure that the babies are healthy, that they're doing okay in the least stressful way for mom and everyone else involved. So it's incredible. We have a few animals here who are ultrasound trained. We have some animals who are trained to show us their feet or their teeth in case they need dental work done or anything like that. It's just absolutely incredible for us to see. So with that, Jesse, we're going to throw it to you for the Kahoot. We'll give our red panda friend here a chance to maybe settle down and find a nice place to hang out. And then we will start our question and answers.
Fantastic. Well, Mary Ellen, Morgan, that was incredible. I've also never seen an animal run and just absolutely level a log in the middle of a broadcast. That was like top tier live animal interaction. So thank you to Paprika for being an absolute beast today. We are going to dive in with our Kahoot. As I've been putting up on the screen, our game pin is 568662. There's already a ton of you signed into that, which is spectacular. 4 quick questions, test your understanding, see how much you were paying attention, have a little bit of fun in the process, and then we are going to go live with Q&A. We got a bunch of live classes with us and quite a few more on YouTube and Facebook. So please get those fingers on the keyboard for questions if you're joining us online. I'm going to pull up our Kahoot, and Mary Ellen Morgan, you can give us little hints if you'd like as we get near the end of each of these questions. But let's dive in a minute. How many already are there? 84 of you, 85 of you already in the Kahoot. That is spectacular. Let's get ready to get underway, folks. The faster you answer, the more points you get. You don't win anything, but you do win our everlasting respect, as always, here at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. All right, we're going to be over 100 in just a second. Let's start off. If you start in a minute, that's fine. You will be added to the Kahoot as we go along.
That's okay. We'll film more.
Right. Let's see. Toronto Zoo Red Pandas. Question number 1 in 3, 2, 1. All right. What country of those listed below has red pandas in the wild? Canada, Russia, China, or Australia? Ooh. Might help to know they're in the Eurasia section of the Toronto Zoo. There's a few countries that do have red pandas, but only one of these 4. Already 90 answers in. Get those answers in. Let's see. The answer is China. So a lot of you got this right. A lot of you said Canada. So we do have red pandas in Canada, of course, at the Toronto Zoo, but they're not in the wild there. It's important to note that difference. But I like where your head's at. China is our correct answer. Nimble Condor takes our lead going into question 2. True or false? We talked about this. The red panda's closest relative is the giant panda. Now, I know that Paprika knocked that log in half like a giant panda would with like super muscles, but we don't know. Is it the most related to? We talked about foxes. We talked about weasels. We talked about raccoons. Over 100 answers so far. Our answer is 122 of you. Wow. The answer is false. So giant pandas are not the closest relative of our red pandas. Weasels are what we settled on. It's been a really interesting bit of science to understand who red pandas are most related to. But even though their name's the same, giant pandas are not it. That shakes up our leaderboard a bit. Going to question 3. All right. What are 2 of the biggest threats to red pandas? Now, several of these are threats to pandas, but there's 2 that are particularly large. Poaching, so people hunting them in the wild. Pollution, climate change, or habitat loss. So 2 of these are correct, are what we're looking for. This is a bit of a tricky one. I know we talked about a few in this one, so no worries if this trips up a little bit. The key is to learn from this, even if you don't get the answer correct. So poaching and habitat loss. Habitat loss is actually one of the biggest threats to a lot of species around the world. And poaching, they are used for the pet trade. They're hunted in the wild. So these are 2 of the big things facing red pandas. Climate change, as Morgan mentioned, is another big one. And pollution is something that affects pretty much every animal on Earth in some form or another. We're going to go with our final question. Wonderhawk in the lead. And then we are going to dive in with our Q&A with our amazing live classes. What can you do to help the red pandas? Tell your friends and family about them. Buy sustainably sourced products. Don't like or share images of people playing with them. So if you see someone with a red panda on their shoulder, don't share that. Or all of the above. What's our answer? Ooh, we're getting fewer answers, and these final ones are a little bit trickier. Almost 80 of you got this in. The answer is yes, all of the above. Here's a hint for our Kahoots. If we ever do a Kahoot and one of the answers is all of the above, it's always all of the above. So yes, buy sustainably sourced products helps all animals. Don't share like images of animals being played with in a way that they shouldn't be, especially endangered species like red panda. And sustainably sourced products are all very good solutions. Wonderhawk takes our Kahoot. Mary Ellen Morgan, way to go. If you are any of these 3, let us know who you are.
Yeah.
And we are going to go to Miss Fisher's class to kick off with our Q&A. Welcome in, Miss Fisher. Nice to have you back again, and take us away with your first query. Hey.
Good morning. Thank you so much for all of your information. We had some students that were wondering a little bit about sharing of pandas between different zoos.
Yes. Great
Oh, good question. I love that. So I'll just say right now, just for our introduction, if you can look way up there, we've switched red pandas during the Kahoot so we could give Silva a little bit of attention as well. He has already climbed though for the day, so we're gonna watch him a little bit from a distance for right now. But yeah, sharing of red pandas. So both of these pandas have come to us in the last couple of years. There's something called an SSP, which is a species survival plan. And essentially what that is, I like to think of it as a giant kind of dating app for endangered species out there in the world. And it's kind of a global scale. And we look at elements of the animal. So their overall physical health, but also their genetics. So, who are they related to out in the world and who are they related to in other accredited facilities? And places like the Toronto Zoo, as an accredited AZA facility, we talk to other zoos and we kind of make plans. And they say, hey, you've got a red panda. We've got a red panda. Their genetics look really good. Let's try and get them together. And so that's why Suva and Paprika ended up here together, as they were a breeding pair. Now, you might notice that we did have to switch exhibits. We are in a fully different exhibit now, and that is because they are a solitary species. So they like to live alone. They only come together for breeding. So Paprika's way over there, and we walked in through the house there and just kind of sneakily switched sites for us to come see our second panda here. So they do stay apart for most of the year. And so that means when we bring two new ones together, there is that element of a live animal. So we have to make sure that they actually like each other in person as well. And we do something called howdies with them, which is essentially just them getting the opportunity to say hello and meet each other in a safe environment first. Think about on the first day of your school, you walk in and you might have some new friends or faces in your group. And that's just the same thing. We want to make sure that they're friends and able to get along with each other.
Fantastic. Great question, Miss Fisher's class. Carsonville, Michigan. So nice to have you guys back. We are going to head to the delightfully named Coral Reef Elementary, Miss Archer Seaman and Barbados class. Welcome in, 38 kids. So nice to have you in Florida. Hi.
Okay, Evan, go. What does the name panda come from?
Ooh, good question.
Good question. Yeah. So their name, a lot of animals' names do mean a lot about them. And if I recall correctly, we might have to fact check myself here, but I believe their name stems from their coloration. So being fiery or that red color. And then also panda, I believe, references what they eat. So we didn't actually talk about that much in our video. But I believe the word panda, it references an animal that eats bamboo. And so they are an animal kind of with those similar characteristics. So they eat some bamboo. They'll also eat a lot of vegetation, fruits. They were eating grapes a few moments ago with us. So I'm pretty sure that's the origin of their name.
Yeah, so a really quick Uncle Google search to help out with this is bamboo eater. So that is what the internet says to corroborate your answer. I like that question very much. Thanks, man. All right, I'm going to head to Miss Alfonso's class next, and then I'm going to take a couple from YouTube and Facebook before I head to Mr. Chris and Miss Caracas' class. Miss Alfonso, welcome in Florida as well. Hi.
We got Peter here. Hello. Do red pandas have friends?
Do they have friends?
Oh, I love that. So yes, I would say red pandas have friends. Even though they do live alone from each other, they still, come together at breeding season to find a mate. And then also, we are outside right now. So our red pandas interact with some wild creatures as well. There's some bugs or insects, maybe birds, some squirrels might come into their exhibit as well. And, Morgan and I are hanging out with them right now for a little bit too. So I would say they interact with a lot of other species, and they tolerate us, so that's part of friendship.
That is a great question. These are some fantastic questions, everybody. I love them. I'm going to head to YouTube for just a quick minute. Mr. John Prezio's class wants to know that they eat bamboo in the wild. What do you feed them at the zoo?
Yeah, so when we started our video with Paprika, she actually had a little bowl of it's a soft pellet that we give them. So think about your dog or cat at home. You might feed them a kibble, and that's kind of an all-in-one food for them. It just gives them all the nutrients that they need, all the vitamins, everything like that, and their protein. everything that they need to survive. We have a similar diet that's made for some of our specific animals here at the zoo. So animals who are related to each other might eat the same ones. And then they also like to get some extra vegetation or fruit. So they'll get apples and grapes, maybe even some carrots.
I'm going to jump in here. So do you remember that video that we were showing Paprika with the ultrasound? So they knew that they needed to give her her favorite treat to get her to sit for that ultrasound. So they gave her sweet potato, and oh, she munched on that for so long and stood perfectly still eating her sweet potato for the ultrasound.
I too would sit still if someone fed me sweet potato. It is one of the most delightful things, really. I'm going to head to Facebook for a minute. Janet Harrison wants to know, did Paprika just scent mark a couple of the branches as she was walking along, and are both males and females scent markers? Could you?
Definitely. Yeah, that's a really close eye there for that. She definitely did as they went. And yeah, they'll scent mark. A lot of species do that to kind of claim their territory. As I was mentioning, they go inside to sleep overnight. So when they come back out in the morning, other, non-zoo animals might have been roaming around in their exhibit. Plus, we do switch them between our two exhibits to give them more enrichment and that new smell of each other throughout the day and throughout like the week as we switch them back and forth. So yeah, definitely. She was scent marking for sure.
Amazing. Great question, Janet. Miss Caracas' class, right down the road from you guys in Toronto. I know their video is not working, but we should be able to hear you guys if you want to come on in and share a question.
Absolutely. We have Henry here with a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. My question is, how do they just pause their pregnancy? Like, how does that work?
Oh.
Nice question. So they're really hard to study because we don't actually know internally what's going on. And as you saw from those graphs, the hormones aren't telling us too much, but it is more of an adaptation, just like our bodies have adapted to have pregnancy a certain way, how bears have pregnancy in their caves over the winter. It's kind of how all different animals have pregnancy in different ways. Red pandas is just one of those that's how they do their pregnancy. And it's not really a decision that they make. So it's not a cognitive choice to pause their pregnancy. It's more how their body is feeling. So if their body is healthy, sturdy, all of the elements around them are perfect, then the delayed implantation will actually just continue after about a day or so. So they don't necessarily always have to pause that breeding. However, sometimes if they need to, they can pause up to 2 months.
Wow.
Yes, so it's more their body just telling them when they're ready.
Can I just say that this has been one of the best first round of questions, both from our YouTube, Facebook audience, and live classes ever. These are such thoughtful questions from everybody. So way to go, guys. We're going to head to Michigan again for a different class. Mr. Chris's second graders. If you guys want to come on in, we'll take a question, take a few from our YouTube and Facebook friends, and then try and sneak in another round while we can together with Morgan and Mary Ellen. Hey, Mr. Chris's class. Hi. Go ahead, Max.
What are some predators of red pandas?
Ooh, predators of the pandas. Great question.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that question. So that's one of the advantages of being up in the trees is predators are definitely a risk for them, but not everything can climb up. So mostly it's their cubs that can be hunted. So the baby red pandas have to watch out for really large birds. So think like eagles, falcons, those kind of birds, massive birds, ones I don't even really want to be near that much. Fun fact of the day, I have a fear of birds. But so they have to watch out for birds. Once they're a full adult red panda, though, snow leopards can be an issue for them. And honestly, really humans are their biggest predator that they have to look out for. And all the reasons that Morgan was talking about habitat loss. And so those are kind of their big worries. And Jesse, I'm not sure if you're able to do this while we're continuing questions, just because our red panda friends have left us here for a bit. Are you able to bring up that other video for us while we do questions?
I can try. My internet's being really iffy, so I will do my best. And if not, we've got a beautiful forest canopy that goes with our background here. So
very
it's
true.
Lovely. Let's head to YouTube for a quick few, some rapid fire ones, and then we're right back to Miss Fisher as another round with our live classes. So let's see. We had, I know earlier, it disappeared. Oh, Miss Withrow wants to know, do they only carry one baby at a time generally?
So they can actually have 1 to 4 offspring at a time. It kind of just depends how they're feeling, how they're doing at that moment. But yeah, I would say most commonly 1 or 2.
Okay. And then quick one from Miss Lou's class. How big do red pandas get?
Oh, yeah. So although they are a little bit larger, they're about the same weight as if you have a house cat at home, maybe just slightly bigger than that. So if you have a cat at home, it's essentially like having the size of a red panda at home.
It's a beautiful answer. Thank you, Mary Helen. Miss Fisher's class, we're going to come to you first. Archer Seaman next. Let's do this. Another round of 5 questions. So exciting. Unmute your mic and come chat with us. Hey.
Hi, we were wondering what kind of physical characteristics do they use to survive?
Yeah. So red pandas, their kind of adaptations or characteristics that they have is that really red fluffy coat. So they do live in a climate that can get really hot and really cold. So their hair does help them with that. And they have long guard hairs. So it's not, they look very fluffy and soft. They're not, very sadly. It is a very coarse hair. Think of like a wired haired dog. And then they also have that big bushy tail that can help them maintain their balance, but it can also act like a scarf for them. So on really cold days, they wrap it around their face to help them breathe in warmer air. And then they also have those claws. So that helps them get to their snacks and all the food they want to eat, but it also helps them in climbing and kind of gripping around the trees as well. I believe they also have a pseudo thumb. So pandas have this really cool, and it helps them with their food. I'm going to just bring us down here for a second. If you look at your hand, we have like an opposable thumb here that can move. Pandas and other animals have something that looks more like this, without the thumbnail, obviously, and it kind of gives them the ability to still grab. So humans with our thumb means that we can open zippers and doors and hold pencils really easily, but animals with a pseudo thumb means that they can hold branches in their hand to chew on the leaves.
Fantastic. Pseudo thumb is a phrase we haven't had in a long time here at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, so thank you for that. We're going to head to Miss Archer Seaman's class. And a quick note, Mary Ellen Morgan, are you willing to open up a Padlet for this, or we can take some additional questions after the broadcast? We've got so many on YouTube and Facebook that I don't think we're going to be able to get to live today.
Always. We love those.
Amazing. Well, then I will make that up for everyone. So if you have questions on YouTube and Facebook, keep those questions, share them on a Padlet. It's like a virtual whiteboard. We'll be able to take more after this broadcast is done. As soon as my computer stops doing a weird buffering thing, I'm going to head to Miss Archer Seaman's class and bring you guys in. I am sorry for the connectivity difficulties. It was great mere minutes before I started today. Let's see. Oh, there we are. Miss Archer Seaman's group, Barbato's class. Welcome back. Hi.
Hi there. Okay, Angelique.
How good is their hearing?
How good is their hearing? Great question.
Oh, I love that. So they have quite large ears, and their ears are pointed forward. So they do have really good hearing. They've got a great sense of smell, pretty good eyesight. I would say between their smell and their hearing, those are probably their 2 best ones that they've got. But because their ears are always kind of facing forward, it means they have to turn their head to kind of hear any other direction or to hear more location based. So if you think of an animal like a horse, they can move, one ear back or forward to kind of tell the difference around them. Red pandas' ears are mostly facing forward. So they do have good hearing, but it's not all around them. It's just for certain directions.
Fantastic. Great question, guys. Miss Alfonso's class, I'm coming to you, Miss Caracas, and we'll wrap up with Mr. Chris in just a second. I have created the Padlet. I'm going to get the link to everyone on the YouTube and Facebook chats in just a second. But Miss Alfonso's crew, come on in. Hey.
What happens if they fall out the trees?
Yeah, honestly, it can happen. Even the best animals or best climbers, they can slip on a rainy day or on a really icy or cold day. And really, we have 2 kind of ways that we can handle this. One, we make sure that the conditions outside are good. So on a really, really bad weather day or a really cold day, this area is unsafe for them. So they have kind of more indoor-outdoor climbing areas that we were in before with Paprika. They would just stay in those on really bad days. And that way we can prevent any big falls from these trees. The second way that we can do that is kind of a reaction care. is we have a team of keepers here looking out for them, and we also have a wonderful team of vets here. So if ever something were to happen and they fell, the keepers would be right there to give them a hand, and then they'd call in our vet team. They'd do a whole checkup on the animal, make sure that they're feeling okay, and if they do need any medicine or any surgeries to help, we can definitely do that all in-house for them, which is fantastic.
Amazing. Great question, Miss Alfonso's class. All right, Miss Caracas, back to Toronto, and then we're going to wrap up in Canton in just a minute before a big thank you and farewell. Back in 2-3s. Welcome in.
All right, here's our question. Go ahead.
How long do they live?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So red pandas in the wild, they can live about 7-8 years. That's pretty average for them. In captivity, we have seen them get to about 11 or 12 years old. And we talk about this a few times with Jesse and Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants as well. And that's because when they're in captivity with us, some animals are able to have a longer lifespan just due to our care that we have for the vets. So we have a vet team, the keepers here, looking out for their health. They're getting all the proper food and nutrition that they need throughout their life. And we're able to help them if there's any injury or sickness that they have with our teams here. So some species can have a slightly longer lifespan in captivity with us.
Great question, guys. All right, I just put this in the chat. I'll put it on screen as well. If you want to share additional questions after this broadcast is done, we're going to leave this up for 2 days. Padlet.com/our initials here at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants/Red Panda. So I'm going to be moderating that. If you want to share in questions, Morgan and Mary Ellen will help answer all your Red Panda queries we couldn't get to live because we've only got so much time together. Check that out when you're done, and I'll email it to all our registered classes as well. Mr. Chris, in the meantime, with one final live question. Come on in, guys. Hey.
Red pandas are in danger. How can we help?
How can we help pandas? The best question.
That is amazing. And I'm going to turn, since we're going to be ending here, I'm going to turn the camera back on us here for a second. That is a fantastic question, and what a great one to end on here for us as well. There is lots that you can do to help our red pandas. Even just by being here today, part of our broadcast, you are learning about these creatures, and the more that you can share about them and that they are in need of being helped, that really does help them and spread their cause all over the world. And there's lots of little things that you can do here at home. So when you're walking about, making sure that we're putting, our litter or any garbage we have in the proper bins, or taking it home and reusing it maybe. That way we're not affecting any of the animals here with habitat loss. If you have a project at school, maybe you could write about the red pandas and different programs that are running. If you feel really strongly about it, we can write letters to government as well and ask them to invest money and time and programs in helping endangered species all over the world. Morgan, do you have any additions?
Yeah, another thing is even visiting these accredited facilities that are committed to helping red pandas. So here, every time a visitor comes to our facility, it helps promote, it raises money. Yes, visit our website, torontozoo.com. There's lots of amazing things just by visiting accredited zoos and facilities that put all of their resources to saving these animals.
Exactly.
Amazing. Morgan, Mary Ellen, thank you so much for such an incredible broadcast to kick off the year together. We are going to be doing a program every single month with the amazing team at the Toronto Zoo this year. And we've got one in like a little over a week for World Rhino Day on the 22nd. So stay tuned for that on our Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants website as well. If you want to register for that, you can do so below. All our zoo programs are on our YouTube channel, so do check them out there. Head to the Toronto Zoo's website, as we shared a minute ago. And if you have those additional questions, check us out on Padlet. We're going to be making sure everyone gets the chance to share additional queries after the broadcast. Till then, as we do to wrap up every broadcast, I'm going to bring in Miss Fisher, Miss Archer, Seaman Barbados class, Mr. Chris's class, and Miss Caracas's class to say a big thank you and farewell. Everybody's in. Have a wonderful day. And we'll see you all.
Bye. Bye.